I was watching the TV show Lie to Me last night, and suddenly in season 2, episode 21, it's based on a story that I reported, a story that I uncovered back in 1998. There was this guy going around the porn industry transmitting HIV. And his name was Mark Wallace. Up to about a dozen porn actresses tested positive. So season 2, episode 21, titled Darkness and Light. And every episode contains a disclaimer that, that this series is completely fictional, but it seems heavily based upon my reporting on Mark Wallace.
Molly was infected on your set.
Look, I run a clean operation. Everyone is legal, consenting, and HIV negative.
4 actresses from your movies have been infected with HIV in the last year.
You know, this may come as a shock to you, but some porn stars, they catch the virus on their own dime.
If you knowingly exposed Molly to HIV, then you're going to jail.
Why would I do that? I'm a businessman.
Let me explain something to you.
Okay, so I was in a doco that came out in 2018 called Porndemic. It was about Mark Wallace releasing HIV.
It's
into
like
the
getting
industry.
some oration about morality, in a porn scene. It's a total downer. Condoms destroy porn. It was thought inevitable that the industry would get infected with AIDS. It was just kind of taken for granted. In 1995, Barbara Dole, a beautiful blonde French porn star, tested HIV positive. Then in February of 1997, Nina Cherry tested HIV positive. And then you had Jordan McKnight in summer of 1997, and there was a lot of uproar and concern. And then everything was quiet for another 6 months. People really freaked over Trisha because they really liked Trisha. In early 1998, the cases just started falling one a month. It just spun people's minds. Like, what the hell is going on here? In April of 1998, my sources got coming to me and saying, hey, it's Mark Wallace. He's the one behind it. There are girls who won't work with him. He's dangerous, and he needs to be stopped. I posted that on my website April 23rd, 1998, and everybody went crazy. Mark Wallace called me and said, you did me wrong, and this is not true. But it wasn't incandescent rage that I was dealing with. It wasn't what you would expect from an innocent man who'd been totally wronged. It was way too reasonable. Mark Wallace did not want to come in for a PCR DNA test. He did not. He was avoiding it. So Sharon Mitchell let Mark slide on getting tested for a long time. So Sharon Mitchell announced at an industry meeting that Mark Wallace was patient 0 and that he was HIV positive. Mark Wallace was fucked once Sharon Mitchell said, we think he's patient 0. From then on, he was fucked. I mean, you'd need to have an unbelievable public relations team to try to turn around that narrative. He said, I think maybe the girls gave it to me. It's part of what made the industry hate him. He had this test from early March that said he was HIV negative. So is Mark like modifying his test results? Is Mark a monster? They look at his test and it says he's a 49-year-old female and the address for the testing center is wrong. In 1996, he was written up in AVN for changing dates on his HIV test for VCA and Dorenzi Productions. This is unheard of. This was not something that I know anyone else do. Can we point now at Mark and say, this is a man of such unfathomable evil? And that's what the industry did. They went from Mark is our friend to he is not one of us. And he is the one responsible for wreaking havoc on our beautiful industry. If it wasn't for Mark, everything would be blowjobs and lollipops. The dominant view was that he was a sociopath, that he knew he was HIV positive and that he was passing it along to girls in the industry. Shut up. He was just infecting girl after girl. He's a serial killer, just trying to get away with it for as long as he could. He was a man on the edge, and he understandably had a suicidal impulse. Let me just end my life. What about all the other women who worked with Mark? It appeared to me that he was the most likely source for Barbara Dole's infection. He was infected in 1995, but HIV is very difficult to transmit. So it doesn't surprise me that Mark could work with women and they not get HIV. The industry had every incentive to say there was one rogue performer and one bad guy, and he was responsible for what happened here because they knew that this was the type of thing that could blow up and shut down their honeypot. We've got this thing under control. We don't need more government intervention. We don't need more government regulation. We don't need more scrutiny from the mainstream media. We don't need any bad news. This is just one rotten apple.
Okay, so I'm watching Lie to Me, which is an excellent show. You learn a lot about how people deceive, what are some of the micro clues that let you know that someone's trying to run a scam on you, what facial muscles indicate disgust or fear. It's a 3-season series. It was on CBS, something like 2009 to 2011. Smart show. I like the show. And Lie to Me, Season 2, Episode 21, Darkness and Light. And I find it's inspired by my reporting.
I'm about to subpoena everybody you've worked with in the last 5 years. So how's that for business?
An 18-year-old kid just found out that at best she's going to live out the rest of her days fighting to stay healthy, and at worst, she's going to die young.
So in this episode, an 18-year-old girl runs away from home, and the only sex she has is on camera, and she catches HIV.
You want a list of all the actors that Molly and the other HIV-positive girls have worked with. Their real names, their addresses, phone numbers.
Now, you've probably seen TV shows and movies about pharmaceutical companies trying to hide dangerous results for their medications. That makes absolutely no sense, right? If a pharmaceutical company finds out that its product is killing people, they're not going to try to subvert the testing because it just leaves them much more wide open to, greater exposure when further people die. It just opens up the legal exposure. So too with the porn industry, once they confirm an HIV case, they, generally speaking, they've done fairly good tracking. Though, of course, they miss Mark Wallace, but they've gotten much better because it's not in the porn industry's best interest for HIV cases to multiply.
All he had to do was ask.
So then they bring in the performer. Who's about
You're
Mark
saying
Wallace's
that you don't
age,
remember any of them.
like 40
What
or
can I
so.
say? Ass kind of blends together after a while.
They very much
Well, you know,
like
also
Mark
says
Wallace.
that you worked with all 4 of these actresses. And since then, all 4 of them have been tested positive for HIV. Now, I'm doing the math, and it all adds up the same way.
I get checked before every shoot. It's just
Yeah, that's what they all like to say. Oh, I'm checked. I'm certified. Here's my test result. But what if someone's faking their test result or altering their test result?
what you do.
You hear that raised pitch?
And he's really the guy?
So
You're telling us that you're disease-free. Right.
And that's Mark Wallace. He called me up. I'm disease-free, bro. I've got test results. I arranged to meet him. I went to the wrong Jerry's Deli. So we arranged to meet at Jerry's Deli. He was going to bring his test results. I think I went to the one in Studio City. He went to the one in Woodland Hills. And then finally he was forced to take a proper test, which showed that he was HIV positive and most likely patient 0, infecting up to 12 porn stars and who knows how many other people.
What's it like? I mean, really, how does it feel to give 4 girls potentially a death sentence? What's that like?
look, I'm sorry if some of these girls got sick.
No, you're not. He's not,
Yeah, I know.
He's not a shred of remorse there.
I've got nothing to be remorseful for.
Yeah, so Mark Wallace did use drugs. He also did scenes in the gay industry.
You want proof?
And here he pulls out his card, just like Mark
Now,
Wallace would show you his
How
test
could I be
results
lying
were negative.
if my blood test from last week says that I'm clean?
Okay, this guy sounds just like Mark Wallace at the time, back in 1998. Test results saying negative.
Thank you for this.
For what?
Being as dumb as you look.
So here's a little more background on the story.
A short time after Luke Ford entered the business, he made a big mistake. Ford wrote about 2 adult performers, John Stalliano and Nina Cherry, who had become HIV positive. According to Margold, that was family business. It should never have seen the light of day.
Bill Margold Speaks, Part 1, May 1st.
1998. You have to soften your blows. These are vulnerable, fragile, childlike adults. This is juvenile hall. You need to understand who these people are before you rip them apart. If you want to come after an adult, you can take me on any time. I am invincible.
Having broken the unwritten rules of clan business, Ford would have to pay for it. Margold shut him out and told many in the business to do the same. Ford was now an outcast in a world of outcasts. For a journalist requiring inside information, that was a serious blow.
Basically coexisted in this community.
But Ford, perhaps foolishly, didn't back off.
Problems, relatively little.
6 months later, 5 porn stars in short succession become HIV positive. Ford is the first to break the news. He goes so far as to name patient 0 as this man, Mark Wallace, seen here with Kimberly Jade.
Whoa.
April 23rd, 1998. Veteran male porn star Mark Wallace has tested HIV positive. The news has been circulating around the industry for weeks, maybe even months. A couple of years ago, Mark was caught faking his HIV tests. He's had a reputation for using drugs, but was thought to have cleaned up his act of late.
I had not worked, I think, since the end of January.
This is
Here
Kimberly
was
Jade.
known, and like I said, I met somebody that I started to care a great deal for.
I interviewed her in
We were going to be
April,
moving in
May,
together, and
1998.
I wanted to just earn some little extra quick cash to, help make the move a little bit easier, and was going to go do a girl scene. And
A lot of us, where we need extra cash, we just go do a girl scene. It's like the quickest, easiest way to make some extra cash.
he knew about this, and he was okay with this. Because of some of the other performers becoming HIV positive earlier in the year, was told that I needed to have a DNA test in order to work again. So, well, okay, cool. So I go in one afternoon and give my blood for this DNA test and pay $85. And a couple days later, I get a message on my answering machine from the doctor.
Hey, Dr. Bitch.
With the
Sharon
HIV
Mitchell.
thing and the several performers that had got it before, I knew without him even having to say anything that I was one of the unfortunate individuals to have come down with HIV.
Kim, did you know what kind of a sentence that meant for you to be HIV positive?
No. Every day it brings up something new. Definitely. It's there is not one small part of my life that it has not tainted or touched or changed.
It's from the documentary
from
Give
that
Me
day
Your
on,
Soul.
Forever, everything would never be the same.
Came out in year 2000.
Ever. Not just not being able to work in the industry, but my life.
Mark Wallace tests HIV positive. Confirmed. May 1st, 1998. Sharon Mitchell announced at the talent meeting earlier tonight that she has seen Mark's test results. They confirm that he is indeed HIV positive and likely to be the primary suspect in the recent chain of infections.
It will be a proven fact that he has been forging his tests. And people say, well, if he was forging his tests because he knew he was positive, why else would you be forging your tests? And I mean, just what kind of a person would do that consciously? I mean, what gave him the right to decide, the path that my life will travel? I mean, to put something on me that is like the fucking sky, all of you like night and day, like something you want to scrape off of your skin.
The mainstream media is most skittish to write about porn. Thursday night, the porn industry's powers gathered, along with some talent, about 100 persons in all. Free Speech Coalition Chair Jeffrey Douglas asked if there are any journalists in the room. No answer.
Mr. Douglas asked that all journalists allow protecting adult welfare to break this news.
I know that what happened with me the next day
Bill
is,
Margold died a few years ago.
This litany by Ford winds up on the internet, and I have some form of confrontation with Ford, basically accusing him of violating the trust of the industry. Of course, he blathers about being a journalist who has the right to do whatever he wants to do.
It's about the money. I mean, it all became about the money, and people became careless. And this last time, where there was no doubt that I had the DNA, I was there in the doctor's office with my agent and my boyfriend, and Sharon Mitchell happened.
Okay, here's a little bit from Lie to Me, Season 2, Episode 21. And so they confront the Mark Wallace type character, and then they go to the clinic.
Thanks for taking the
where
time, Doctor.
he would get tested.
You said Fentress gave you my name? Yeah, he said, you know,
Fentress
you
is
could
the character.
give me a
Mark
hand, you know,
Wallace
with my little problem,
story.
you know. Itchy, get my drift.
Like speaking
I'm sure
here
Fentress
is
told
the
you I don't take insurance.
main character in Lie to Me.
Cash up front, right? Got it. I've got one question for you, though. Did you charge these girls extra?
I don't follow.
You have no idea who these people are, do you?
Should I?
No, you've never seen them before in your life. But the funny thing is, right? If one of them dies, you're going to jail for murder. Wacky.
Yeah, well, not in California, right? Thanks to Assemblyman Scott Wiener, knowingly transmitting HIV in California is not a felony. It's just a misdemeanor. Thanks, Scott Wiener.
Okay, I don't know what your deal is, but I think you should leave.
Hey, Doc.
This is FBI Agent Ben Reynolds. He's got it too.
And if you even try and deny that you gave Lee Fentress a free pass to infect those girls, I'm gonna rip your throat out.
Open wide.
All right, get up. You're under arrest.
What for? I didn't do anything.
You're HIV positive. Your doctor's been falsifying your papers. You've been that way for 2 years.
That's attempted murder. Let's go.
Yeah, Mark Wallace was HIV positive
This
for
way.
up to
People like you,
4
you
years.
think we're all living in sleaze. Not true. I had a good life. Just didn't pan out.
What about Molly and all the other girls then?
Oh, I guess it didn't pan out for them either. Is that him? Is that son of a bitch?
Sounds just like the Mark Wallace of real life.
And also be there. And same thing out of her mouth. Let's keep this in the family.
The industry was correctly obsessed with the story during 1998, particularly the first 6 months. And there was a lot of anger, confusion, and fear. And some of it got channeled onto the messenger of the bad news, me.
So Mark Wallace was not charged with any crime. He may have been sued, but he didn't have any assets. So.
As Bill Margold says, when your privates become public, you lose privacy. When you're having sex for a living, when you're having sex publicly, when it's videotaped and sold, you're going to lose a lot of privacy. And when you're endangering the lives of others by being HIV positive, that's the definition of news.
So the industry didn't want to share these stories. They wanted to keep it all in-house, keep it all on the down low.
In the spring of 1999, Bill Margold organizes a march for the adult community. It's called Say Boo to Censorship. There's only one journalist covering the event, and he's not welcome.
Melrose Larry Green from the Howard Stern Show.
I haven't done this in years. I've been like working on a new album, but what you're doing is so wrong. I hope I should stand in front of your house and stalk you, and I should put your name and your personal information on the internet so everybody knows about Luke Ford and what a scumbag you are. Maybe I'll do that. In fact, I think I will do that after I do my walk.
March officially begins now, children. We know where we're going. Let's go.
Wait, no, wait.
Back at the
may be thrilled to have a role in the sack with you, but when you leave, they're going to want to burn the sheets. You can take every other category, every other idea, every other thought. Basically, happiness and success in life all boils down to what are the quality of your bonds with other people. Having anything to do with the adult industry hacks away those bonds, so you're isolated, alienated, pushed away to the margins, and not treated as a human being. That's a recipe for disaster for me and for anyone else. Hookers are hookers. I mean, hookers are people who are looking for a quick buck with the least amount of effort, so they learn tricks. And being a porn star is just like, the world's oldest profession. So it's not that complicated. Reality is hard. A lot of people blame the industry for their problems, but then they get out in the real world and find lots of problems in the real world too. I mean, people who are well-adjusted and have good life skills, who are doing something meaningful and constructive with their lives, they're not in the industry to begin with. So the people who are in the industry are really broken, twisted souls without a lot of great job skills.
Okay, and chat says, well, why should the information about someone's HIV status be made public? Well, to reduce the chances that they transmit it to other innocent people. So sure, you may lose something in medical privacy, but think about all the innocent people who are then saved. William F. Buckley suggested that everyone who's HIV positive be tattooed with, what was it? Something about give up hope or ye who enter here. That's what he wanted tattooed on the bottom backs of HIV positive. Surrender hope or ye who enter here.
They're turbulent souls, so they're always going to be twisting and turning in the wind. Is it possible to lead a normal life after you get out of it? This is forever. This is the scarlet letter. It never goes away. You'll be dealing with the implications of this forever. What tends to happen is that it isolates you. And so you develop a fear of being rejected again and again and again. And so you put up walls between you and other people, and you isolate yourself, and you don't join communities. And when you're isolated, you're less likely to suffer rejection, but you're also isolated and living on the edge. It goes on in their life at 2 a.m., the torment, how would you know? They're going to tell you about all the time.
And a question in the chat, do you think the prevalence of OnlyFans and other sexual streaming sites have changed the isolation? No. I mean, once you become a hooker or a sex worker, you are tarred for life. And a lot of people are not going to want to have anything to do with you, and family members will likely reduce or cut their ties with you.
Times they've been rejected and isolated, and the horror and the shame that their children confront, and that their spouses confront, and the shame that they've put their families through, and relationships that have been permanently broken. I mean, all the burned bridges behind them because they've done sex work. Most families aren't proud when their daughters become hookers.
Why do women perform sex on film? Money.
Luke Ford is the author of A History of X, a new book on the industry. He says top actresses can make over $100,000 a year and lots more touring strip clubs.
There are probably 2 or 3 girls who are making $500,000 a year. There are probably a dozen porn stars who are clearing over $200,000 a year. It's a very tough business. It really grinds people down.
Luke Ford's book, A History of X, 100 Years of Sex in Film, will be in stores in March. And tomorrow on ET, Leonardo DiCaprio is back, but...
Hey, Leonardo DiCaprio had the same girlfriend in something like, May of 1998. Kendra Jade, the porn star.
Luke Ford is author of the book, A History of X. He says there's lifetime consequences for the actors and actresses of porn.
There's a loss of dignity in performing sex on camera. It diminishes the soul, it flattens the soul. She got the attention she wanted, but inside she was empty. She was a junkie. As her looks began to fade and her popularity faded and her boyfriends left her, she became increasingly desperate.
You look at the porn industry and it has left a trail of body bags. It's a stiff price to become a porn star. It's something that is forever and will never disappear. It's a price that they will pay for the rest. Troubled soul. There are so many rumors about her, from breast cancer troubles to, of course, a transplant. She's been fired from jobs, divorce. That's Linda Lovelace. She's the poster child for victimhood. Most Americans are fascinated by it, most male Americans, but they still, you know, if they had a pornographer come over and sleep in their house, they'd want to burn the sheets the next morning.
Luke Ford, who spent 7 years writing an internet gossip column about the adult entertainment industry for his own internet website, isn't sure what to make of it.
It's become popular and cool, acceptable in this 18 to 25 age group. My age group, I'm 37, my age group and up, we think porn is something that's shameful.
He guesses that it's an act of teenage rebellion, embracing one of society's last taboos.
How many films do you think have been shot here?
500.
Ford, who is often referred to as the Matt Drudge of adult entertainment, gave us a tour of a backyard porn set in a residential neighborhood of Chatsworth that's been used by porn directors for more than 20 years.
Got a little grass shack, bamboo shack.
Yeah, it's Gilligan's Island.
The Old West?
It's just like Hollywood. Generally speaking, they come into this industry because this is the single easiest way that they can earn $1,000 in a day in 2 hours. It's not like we're losing people from going to medical school or business school or becoming lawyers. Most girls who enter this industry do one video and quit. The experience is so painful, horrifying, embarrassing, humiliating for them that they never do it again.
In virtually every field, from the military to politics to finance to technology to pornography, blogebrities are rising in influence, bypassing the normal rules and answering only to themselves. Luke Ford writes about the adult entertainment industry for porn fans and stars alike.
I was born to blog because I'm a rebel and I don't like other people telling me what to do. And I want to report things my way. It's from 2007.
He's a mass of contradictions. You wouldn't expect a preacher's kid who converted to Orthodox Judaism to write about porn's ugly side. But he does.
I wrote a lot about sex, the sex industry, people getting into it, people getting out of it, people crusading against it. Criticisms of blogs are accurate. But just because a medium has flaws, that's just one side of the story. I'm willing to burn any source, willing to break any story, no matter how unpopular it makes me.